As soon as the film begins, it wants to tell us about the spread of a disease that existed before, which, due to this disease, many children are dying. The doctor, who was a minister, was very troubled by this situation, so he called Dr. Sujan, who could solve the entire situation. She was one, and after almost 3 months of research, she created a bug, meaning she made a bug that ate cockroaches. With the help of genetic engineering, Dr. Sujan modified those bugs in such a way that they would feel very hungry and eat as many cockroaches as possible, after which they would soon die. Their experiment worked, and in just a few days, these bugs ate all the cockroaches that had come into the city, thus saving many children from the cockroach spread epidemic. Until this time, everything was fine. Dr. Peter was also very impressed with Susan's success, and we see that the two of them got married here. Now, from this scene, we are shown a scene 3 years later. Inside the church, someone is taken from the church and goes to the roof of the church, but the person, whose essence we are only shown, comes to the roof and causes such a disturbance that the father falls from the roof and dies. The unknown man who lived in the neighboring house and saw all this with his own eyes now takes the father under the seat, and the next morning the police arrive at the same place to conduct an investigation. During the investigation, besides the father, many other people and dead bodies are not found under the church. To find out what happened to them, the police call a doctor to the scene. The doctor explains that either all these people might have contracted yellow fever or some similar epidemic is attacking them. Now the situation was so critical that Dr. Peter was also called in, thinking that this might be a pandemic. Dr. Peter instructs the police officers to close all the doors of the church so that the pandemic does not spread outside. Singh wants to show Susan. As she was leaving the lab, she suddenly encountered 2 children. They had actually come to sell some insects and boxes from the garden to Susan, which she accepts but doesn't pay much attention to. As she was about to leave, she felt one of the boxes shaking very strongly. No insect could shake a box that strongly. She was surprised and took out an insect from the box. This insect was as big as a rat. Susan wasn't as surprised by its size as she was by its appearance and parents, because it was a Judas bug, the same bug that Susan herself had created 3 years ago. But how could it be possible that those bugs were still alive? Because she had designed those bugs to die after consuming their food. To clear her doubts, she opens her old research and checks the DNA of this bug. Upon gathering all the information, it was confirmed to her that the bugs she created were still alive. Not only are they still alive, but they are also growing to a dangerously large size, and this was a matter of concern. While Susan was investigating Sector R, we see a man wearing a hood keeping an eye on Susan's lab, and after reading Susan's notes, he steals them. From there, Susan became quite worried. After they disappeared, she immediately told her husband Peter that a child had shown her an insect that exactly matched Judas, and she talked about how, when she was investigating it, it suddenly disappeared. Hearing this, Peter also became worried and decided that they would now conduct research on it. To start the search, they first needed that very book. Now Susan goes to the children who used to bring her such bugs and insects from the garden. The child tells her that he found it in a storeroom at the station, and Susan goes to check the storeroom. The surprising thing was that they saw a lot of webs there, which must have been made by Judas. Before they open this web, a police officer arrives here unexpectedly, as something else was suspected because a special warrant is needed to access the station's storeroom, which they didn't have. A fight breaks out here, but Susan calms the situation and speaks to the police officer. "All right, fine. We will come back with the permit tomorrow." Now the kids, who always supplied Susan with insects, are worried that if Susan finds the previous bug, they will demand a high price from her. Thinking this, they enter a small alley. As soon as they enter, they encounter someone a man in an overcoat who had previously killed the father, and he kills these two kids in a very strange manner here. When someone sees the theft again, which involves the father, he had seen it himself, and for some reason he came inside it through the window of his house. Now, in the morning, when they came to wake him up, Choi was not in the room. They panicked and started looking for him. They had informed the police that he was missing, but they did not stop searching for the thief, and while looking for Choi, they reached near him. Here, someone informed Susan that they found a strange creature, and upon hearing this, she immediately reached the site and saw a very large bug. It was almost the size of a dog. According to the doctors, all its organs were functioning, and it was not an ordinary insect. It was not an ordinary creature. It was a creature that lived in an entire colony. Such carriers live with many other creatures. After learning this, Susan becomes very surprised and goes to inform Peter, another member, to investigate this further. Today, Peter also went with a colleague, Tatya, to research the substation E, where they had previously found the juice bug. Meanwhile, we see that Susan has been sitting at the same service station for quite a while. She is just waiting for her other colleagues, who haven't arrived yet. In the meantime, she starts looking at pictures of the creature, trying to learn more about it. It was quite late at night. Now the service station was also empty. Susan had to leave from there, but she didn't, and then suddenly, a shadow appeared. It was a person wearing a hoodie. When Susan asked him the time, the man did not respond to her. Susan started to feel scared, so she quickly turned around and began to leave the station. But then the man also turned around, and a big twist was revealed to us. What we thought was a person wearing a hoodie. From the start of the movie, it was not a person, but a very large being with wings who flies towards Susan to attack her, and then carries her into a special tunnel. Inside this tunnel, we see that Peter, along with his companions and a police officer, is conducting an investigation. It goes in front of Peter in such a way that when Peter kicks it, the floor beneath breaks, and they fall straight to the ground. Inside this tunnel, we see that when Susan regained consciousness, she saw many dead police officers around her. Seeing this, she was very frightened. She knew that she would be killed too. For her own defense, she picks up something from there and starts looking for a way out, and seeing her run, a huge Judas attacks her. Susan attacks it with the sword she is holding in her hand and manages to escape by getting away from it. Susan couldn't find a way to escape from there, so she hid in a strange place where she sees a computer companion researching this place out and laying many Judas eggs. He also realized that the place was very dangerous, and when he tried to escape from there, something as big as a human attacked him and took his life. It is shown that while searching for Joe, Susan was hiding right below him. From China, he thinks about saving Susan's life, and when he goes to get something to open the tunnel's entrance, he sees Pete and that police officer. They were questioning him. He explains that he came here because his son was missing, and while searching for him, he ended up here and saw Susan below. As soon as they heard about Susan, the three of them started rescuing her. While they were pulling Susan up, by mistake something falls from the man's foot, and the noise attracts all the creatures towards them. Before the creatures could attack them, the four of them managed to escape from their sight. They were running ahead in the subway station, with Judas following behind. The subway station was closed at night, but they had to save their lives. They reach a broken train at the station, open it, and close the train's door, but one of the creatures was still behind them and got stuck in the closing door, dying as a result. In fact, it wasn't dead but was split into two pieces, and they realized this when it injured the police officer's team with its sharp claws. Looking ahead, the police officer then shoots and finishes it off. Now these people start investigating the dead creature, where Susan was astonished to see its large lungs because she had seen something similar before, which also had lungs. Now when they look at the creature's face, a hole appears on it that looked exactly like a human skull. And seeing this, Susan guessed that they are pretending to look like humans. Susan tries look like them so that they can easily enter the human world and hunt humans. They are humans, and these creatures hunt humans because they feel very hungry. The biggest thing here is that Susan realizes that while creating the Judas, she made a mistake that caused them to evolve instead of dying, and they changed themselves so quickly. Even humans don't change that quickly. It takes any animal millions of years to change this much. But these Judas had changed in 3 years. They started looking like humans. The 3 of them were talking so much that the noise attracted many Judas, and they attacked their train. Here, she also realizes that maybe the human smile is for this reason, and she takes out the organs of the dead Judas and puts them on herself and all over the train, so that the Judas feel that there are others like them inside the train, and humans don't attract them. If they had to escape from here somehow, they needed to operate the train, but how could they when the train was broken? Then, suggesting an idea, they wondered if they needed to go to the train's wiring, where perhaps they could fix the train. Now, they step outside to fix the train. And at the time, when both of them were repairing the wiring of the train, a huge juice appears in front of Peter, and he gets very scared after seeing it. But surprisingly, the Judas didn't say anything to him, because he had the exact same smell coming from him. Inside the train, we see Susan telling the police officer that in their entire colony, there is only one female that reproduces, and then their generation increases. If we kill that female, the entire species will be wiped out. While on the train, Joy also came into view, who was perfectly fine with the surprise, and the reason was that he could mimic the sound just like the Judas. As soon as they appeared, he started making sounds like them, which is why he had survived until now. They were very surprised and happy to see him, but before they could meet their son, a Judas sneaks up from behind and kills him, then takes him away. Hearing the sound of the commotion, Susan comes out of the train, where she finds out that he had been killed, and seeing this made her very sad. Here too, he starts to get close to them, but suddenly, a lot of these people come to attack. They couldn't understand what was happening, so to save their lives, a police officer comes up with an idea and tells them to get into a nearby elevator, then goes to the other side and starts making noise, so that they all attack him. His plan did work, but as soon as he made noise, they got attracted to him and killed him. But the rest of his idea failed, because by the time Susan was sitting in the elevator, a lot of bugs had already arrived. To save them, Susan places his life in great peril and pulls the young child upwards into the tunnel. Here we see that the elevator had experienced a malfunction for an unknown reason and was rapidly descending at a rapid pace and speed where a bug was below, and it was tragically killed in the process because of the elevator. Both were quite extremely frightened and terrified as they went into the tunnel. Inside the tunnel, he saw massive and expansive webs on the upper ceiling of the tunnel, with Judas bugs stuck in them. There was also a large gas pipeline running through this tunnel, and seeing this, Peter carefully picked up a heavy axe and broke the gas pipeline. His plan was to completely destroy and obliterate the entire tunnel, but his small lighter unfortunately didn't work here. Then he started persistently striking with determination to create a spark, and with just one single spark, the entire place went up in massive flames like a huge car explosion, which was clearly visible from a distance on the road as well. All the Judas bugs were completely eradicated in the explosion, but it is shown that Susan was cautiously moving forward with great care on the station above, which was absolutely crucial and vital for her survival. To save herself, Susan used her bare hand as a last resort, and the strong smell of fresh blood immediately attracted the attention of the bug towards her. Before the bug could kill Susan, she saw a train coming from the front, and a brilliant idea suddenly struck her mind. She now got onto the railway track where the fast-moving train was approaching. The bug also came there to attempt to catch her quickly, and just as the train was rapidly approaching at high speed, Susan quickly jumped off to safety, and the bug was instantly killed under the train. And thus, the entire story of the dangerous bugs ended. Susan now finally felt relieved and at peace because she had saved the world from a great and impending danger to humanity. But in all this, she mistakenly thought in her mind her husband was dead. However, the unexpected twist in the story reveals dramatically to the audience that when the place was blasted, he had jumped into the dirty sewer water to save himself, saving his life. As soon as he came out of the tunnel, it was like a brand new life and beginning for Susan. Both were extremely happy and overjoyed to see each other, and they decided to keep the small rat with them as a pet. The entire story concludes on a happy note, showing them together.